the most polite words in the world can also be taken as aggressive and confrontational. I think it's building up a sensitivity to culture, social dynamics, and all of that stuff that, again, is very much tied up with culture. And we are going to talk about this a lot later in the course. One thing I will say, though, and this is almost similar to a question that, is it rude to sigh in a meeting? And potentially, yes, it is rude to sigh in a meeting, but it depends on how it's done. Potentially anything can be rude. And even the rudest of things that you could say can be not rude. For example, British culture, we swear at each other and call each other the most horrifically disgusting names, but it's done in good humor and it's a part of the social bonding culture that Britain has. So something like, of course it does, there's a huge difference if I say, of course it does. That comes across as quite aggressive and quite confrontational, and therefore it's going to be quite rude. But if I say, yeah, of course it does, I'm kind of indicating that I've just learned something new. And I'd never thought about that before. Well, that's not going to be rude at all. So the context is the most important thing. And a lot of exposure to English is going to help a lot with that. I don't think there's any easy way other than really learning to understand things that you're using. We are going to talk about that a lot from week 5, where we really start digging deep into the meanings of the things that people say. But it is incredibly complex. Anything that you say can always be rude to somebody, and it's not necessarily that you are rude. And I can give you a fantastic example of this. I've been getting some pretty abusive emails over the last few days, which was a reply to an email I sent several weeks ago, which was about, is there meaning in life? And I was talking about, the concept of cosmic meaning, i.e., there is a God, a creator who has created the world, and the meaning of life is to get to heaven and things like that. I don't believe in that stuff at all. So in that email, I talked about, does there have to be a meaning to life? Meaning that kind of cosmic, something good is going to happen when we die kind of meaning. And that person obviously did not like that, because then I got replies to that saying, oh, well, in that case, you should just have a pint of Guinness and then sit down and die. Because if life is meaningless, then it's pointless. So you should just give up now. I sent an email back to that because I thought it was kind of a good point, although misguided, saying, well, actually, I was really talking more about the idea of meaning to the universe, life after death and things like that. And I don't believe that there has to be a point to life for us to be able to live a meaningful life. I think, our own sense of purpose and enjoyment of the process of living is a kind of personal meaning. I should have kept my mouth shut. I should not have replied that email, because the next day I get an email back from that said, I can't remember the exact words, but she basically said, you are like Hitler. Hitler found meaning in killing all of the Jews, and that's what you are like for saying this. And it was like, oh my God, that's absolutely, for me, that was absolutely crazy. But the point is for me, it was an interesting discussion. It turned out that perhaps for that person, it was incredibly offensive, possibly because they have some kind of belief system, or they've got some kind of internal dialogue conversation that they're having with themselves about the importance of there being perhaps a God, or in a meaning greater than us, for example. But whatever it was, what I talked about there was offensive to that person, and then led to that person telling me I'm like Adolf Hitler killing all of the Jews for saying something like that in an email, which is like, wow, absolutely mind-blowing as far as I'm concerned. There was a deeper assumption to that. It is called solipsism, and solipsism is the concept of each and every one of us being at the center of our own universe and believing that other people hold our values and beliefs, which is not true. And that's where a lot of rudeness and offense actually comes from, is not so much through the thing being offensive itself, but through a violation of our own belief system. The assumption there was that because I believe this to be true, everybody must believe this. But the point is anything can be offensive. Some things obviously are going to be offensive if you use them out of context and use them in the wrong way. And as I said, that's usually going to be if something is taken as being aggressive or confrontational. But at the same time, the most polite words in the world can also be taken as aggressive and confrontational, depending on when they are used. Therefore, there's no easy way to learn it. It's not like you can just look something up in the dictionary and the dictionary says, this is offensive, this is not. It's more about learning to understand people, psychology, social values, and different cultures and the values that go with that. Does that make sense? Thank you.